Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Batcave, a new series of fast-paced 30-minute political shows aimed at opening the eyes of America to what is currently taking place in our country. I'm your host, Batmobile, and our guest today will be Meghan, a young conservative American from California who will be entering Southern Methodist University this fall. And she'll be discussing how the Catholic school she was attending was literally trying to indoctrinate her and her class with liberal propaganda. Welcome to the show, Meghan.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
Now, Meghan, you attended Catholic school, right? Now, do you feel that your teachers were teaching you, as what you expected as a Catholic to be taught, or did it seem somehow like they were trying to spread their own political agenda in your class?
I definitely feel that they were trying to spread their own agenda. In class, they would openly talk about Obama, and it wasn't just like, saying current issues, talking about it. They definitely were very biased and would throw their liberal views on me in the class, and it was hard because I was the only one who was sitting there actually questioning them about what they were saying, because going to a Catholic school you would expect for your teacher not to be talking about this, and right. I just had a really hard time dealing with it, and I would call my mom half the time crying because I didn't know what to do, What do you do in those type of situations besides trying to, stick up for yourself and, stick to your convictions and, try to talk to your teacher about it, but...
So what did happen when you, did you speak to your teacher about it? What did she say?
Well, for instance, my teacher was talking about women's rights, and she would talk about how she was she was pro-choice, but I raised my hand. I was like, well, doesn't that mean you are, for abortion, basically? And she was like, how could you say that? It's up to the woman to decide that, but so hypocritical. I go to a Catholic school. The Catholic Church isn't even for that, and then she's saying that she's pro-choice. It just made no sense, and, many times teachers did that. They went against what the church was saying, but still, pushed their liberal views on my class.
Did you ever ask her that and say, well, this is supposed to be, we're supposed to be learning Catholic, this is a Catholic school, so why are you, why is this agenda, why are you teaching this agenda when it conflicts with the whole Catholic faith?
Yeah, I would ask those questions, and, my teachers really wouldn't give me, they would either go on to another subject or they really wouldn't get into it because I knew they knew what they were doing was wrong, but they still did it anyways.
That's just amazing. It's hard to understand. Did you ever speak to any of your classmates about it, as far as how they felt or,
Well, yeah, I had some other classmates that, agreed with what I was saying, but I think many people were nervous to actually say something to the teacher. I know, you obviously want to get a good grade in the class and, stay on the teacher's good side, but me, I really didn't care. So I would say exactly how I felt to the teacher, and, people usually didn't like that. And so usually it was me, trying to stick up for what I believed in, and the other class just being on the teacher's side.
And did it affect your grade any? I mean, did they ever say, because of the way she's acting, let's drop her a grade or whatever?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I maintained pretty good grades, so I don't think they could do that. But I know I did an extra credit paper, and I was talking about stuff like this, and my teacher, said, oh, did you get this from Fox News? And they would say little jabs like that, but I don't think they ever lowered my grade because of it.
Okay, well, you were saying that they were all very proud of President Obama when he got elected. Did you ever bring up your political side and say, well, this is what I believe as a Republican or a conservative, and did they give you at least the fair time, equal time to speak about it?
My teachers usually had posters, bobbleheads, they were so excited that he, was the first African American to be president, and I wanted Sarah Palin and McCain obviously to be in office, but they always would say how dumb Sarah Palin was, and how she could see Russia from Alaska, and they just downplayed it. And it was weird because my religion teacher, she said she always voted Republican, but she wanted to be a part of history, so she voted for Obama.
It's incredible, but I guess the whole liberal mindset, because this is out in California. I live in New Jersey, so I know what that's like. It's just it's almost like a liberal mentality has taken over. But it's hard to imagine when you consider that this is an actual Catholic school. It's a private school that your parents are paying for, that they're trying to indoctrinate their agenda in on their students. I mean, how did your parents feel, since they were the ones that were actually paying for the school? Nobody wants their children to be indoctrinated, but you'd expect that kind of behavior more from a public school than a private one. So how did your parents feel?
Yeah, well, the thing is it's not just happening in Catholic schools. You would expect for it not to happen in a private school, but it's happening everywhere. I went to public school my freshman year. It's happening there. And definitely my parents, they got the phone calls of me crying, this is happening. My little sister, it happened at her school, and she's in 7th grade. Like, that just shows you they're even telling little kids about this. And I mean, my parents took me out of the school. I couldn't deal with it any longer. It was that bad. And, I think parents do need to start opening their eyes and, listening to their kids and hearing what's really going on in the classroom and what they're discussing, because this shouldn't be discussed in classrooms.
Well, you're absolutely right about the little kids. I don't know if you've heard that little song that they were doing when Obama got elected. Barack, Obama, and you figure, that is indoctrination at its worst, because that's taking advantage of children when they're the most vulnerable, at the age 5 or 6. That should not be happening in any school in America. And if people really want it to be fair, at least they should be giving equal time to both political parties, not show so much bias. And if it wasn't such a dangerous bias, because we're seeing right now what the liberal agenda is doing. And but when you say, I mean, how did your parents react? Did they ever complain and say, "My God, this is an outrage"? Or how did they react when they found out?
Well, my parents, since I left in January, so I had one more semester of school, I wasn't into college yet. My parents, I know, didn't want to step on anyone's toes, but definitely, if they were sending my little sister there, which obviously they're not, they would have said something. But I know my parents went down to my little sister's school because she has another year there, and they have said something to them about it. But I just don't think my parents really want to say so much, because I did have to get transcripts from them, and I don't think they wanted to, say anything that would get them in trouble.
Yeah, well, it's not only them. I mean, I can understand. We're not using your last name on this show because, since you are going to college now, we don't want you to get in trouble either. Isn't it amazing when you think about what's happening in America that, they're stifling our freedom of speech, where we can't even talk and tell the people the truth for fear of repercussion? Yeah,
and it's crazy because I changed and I went to independent studies, and that's online school. So I'd write certain papers, in my economics class, and it's funny because my grandma or my sister would be like, "Oh, well, don't put your conservative views in your paper because you may get a lower grade." And it's just sad that you have to think that way, because it's true, and that's a big reality in college also, that you will probably get a lower grade because your teacher does not agree with your views.
Now, that's just not fair, I mean, and think about it. It's not something you can even take to court these days, because we're seeing, all the court systems are basically so biased to the left that they would just say, we have no case here. I mean, it's got to make everybody who's a conservative feel like they're out in the cold all alone, but we know we're not. We see, how many people gather at the tea parties, so we know that there's a lot of us out there. We're just not properly being represented, either in the schools or in government.
Mhm.
How do you feel? Do you know what you're going to be studying now when you go to SMU?
Political science, because I want to be a prosecutor. I just feel that that's my passion, and I know that I want to be able to, I feel, because I was in speech and debate at Fullerton, and I just feel like I have a strong voice and I could stand up for what I believe in, and I really want to pursue that. I know my mom, she thinks I'd be perfect at it, so that's probably what I'm going to end up doing.
I think that's great. That that's what we need is more conservatives out there, in law, because we're going to need you all to take back the country. That it seems to me that the liberal agenda has just taken away from us. Are you looking forward to going to SMU?
Yeah, I actually can't wait to be around people with similar family values and morals, and living out in California, you don't really see that so much. It's actually kind of shocking when you do have a conversation with someone who, feels the same way. So I definitely am excited. And Texas, it's just, when you go there, it's just a whole different vibe, and the people down there definitely are more conservative, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's got to be so difficult to be conservative and be in California, especially, when you're attending school, because you're just surrounded by so many people that don't think like you. You must feel like you're all alone. Have you made a lot of friends that are conservatives in California?
Not really. I wouldn't say so. I even have family members. My family, like my cousins, for instance, or, my grandpa, other people don't see the same way we do. But so it's even hard when you're like talking to like family members and they don't even see it. I think a lot of people don't realize that, these are important issues, and as Glenn Beck says, you need to open your eyes and look around and understand that everyone can make a difference, and that's why going to the Tea Party or events or going out and, getting together with people is really going to help. I think people think that they can't make a difference, but I definitely think everyone can.
That's good. When you get together with friends, even if they're not conservatives, do you ever try to tell them, look, this is how I feel, and you try to back it up by showing them proof or whatever to try to change their opinions and then see how dangerous what's happening to America really is?
Yeah, I definitely try talking to people about it, but, the common thing is, I don't want to get into politics. Like, many people don't want to deal with it because they feel like, as I said before, that they have no control over it, which is really sad because I feel that's how a lot of people think, even adults. So it's hard because you want people to understand what's going on. And even when I hear stuff from my mom or, I see things on the internet or I watch the news, it's shocking, though, to actually understand, like, the corruption and the manipulation and what's really going on and how this is all a big, basically, game. And even Republicans are in it kind of too. I don't know. I think politicians nowadays are all kind of just corrupt. So
you really are.
Hard.
You're right.
Yeah.
As a young student, I think you've got it. It seems to me like there are foreign entities that have been controlling both parties for years, and we need young people like you to actually, wake up the other people who, have actually allowed themselves to be indoctrinated by the school system. We realize now that it's our taxes that have been paying for this. The communist agenda, which is, I guess, is the liberal agenda. They've basically just gotten into our school system, and they're saying, okay, we're taking the kids away, and if the kids don't start doing an about face immediately, this is the future. The future, we have to rely on the kids of today to take care of us. So, we have to rely on people like you, good people like you who know, how to be conservative and how to fight for us, to wake up the others and say, look, they're taking all our freedom away. You have to tell them what freedom is. It's amazing to me. I mean, in school, did they ever even teach you? Have they taught you what freedom is and how America got to be and how we became free, how we're supposed to be the land of the free?
It's sad because I would honestly say no. I feel like in history or any other, subject, I think people are starting to stray away from that, and everything is so, they don't want to, we're losing our roots. They don't want to talk about what it really is because people, I think, are so brainwashed and, they hear one thing and everyone follows it. I feel like no one is sticking up for what is actually real, and
Wow.
you find that a lot in class.
Yeah, it's really, it's not only the liberal people can say, well, we've been brainwashed by the communists, but it's also this the gimme mentality where everybody's got handouts, and they said, now they don't even realize that, look, this is about the enemy coming in here and taking away all our rights, and then they could just basically put us up against a wall and shoot us. It can get to that point if you don't have a Second Amendment, let's say, to back up your First Amendment. You won't be able to talk. It'll be like China. So you have to say, look, we have to speak out. You can't say, oh, well, I don't want to talk about politics. No, this is your chance to talk, because if you don't take this opportunity, you may not have it. So, you have to actually teach, all the kids or your fellow classmates, that's what freedom in America is all about. And if we don't express it now, we may never get a chance to again.
Yeah, I think people are very scared, though. I don't think people want to step on anyone's toes, so I think just my personality, I'm not scared to, so obviously I think I could say something about it, but it's hard when you try telling people what we're discussing about. People just don't want to get involved. People want to stick to what they're doing, and it's so frustrating.
I'm sure it is, but how do people your age feel about all these what's happening with the TSA? Do you feel that's an invasion of privacy, where you go to the airports and you actually have to be basically frisked down? Isn't that going too far?
Yeah, I think that's definitely too far, and but they can't, if they see someone who does look Middle Eastern, they can't take them and, do any advanced searching because they can't, I hear all that stuff on the news, and you just sit there and you're like, okay, but they're going to frisk a little kid. I saw it actually as I was at the airport, and actually my dad got taken over, and I know he had to be searched a couple times, and it's just sad because what America has come to because of the terrorists, but then again, they're all coming to America and they're still getting in. So you have to really think what's really going on.
Well, what's interesting is I'm sure that in the school systems they're probably being taught to accept that kind of mentality, to say, yeah, it's okay because it'll keep us safe in the long run. But that's the wrong mentality. That's not going to keep us safe in the long run. That's taking away our rights. When you're learning political science, I don't know if they're going to be rearranging, the political science agenda that we've had in the past. But it's always been, we've got the First Amendment, and the Second Amendment supposed to back up that First Amendment. Now, if people are saying, well, yeah, it's okay to let these people frisk everybody because we're going to be safer in the long run, what will happen when they start going door to door collecting guns and saying, yeah, we're going to make this country a safer country? Are you going to believe that it's going to be safer if we don't have our guns?
Yeah, and the thing is, though, is they're obviously not doing their job. I'm pretty sure they're checking the wrong people, which is so ironic. But I honestly think there's a bigger game and bigger, as you were saying, there's foreign. You think that people from outside are working in, and I honestly do believe that, because why are terrorists doing things in America right now? You have to really think about it, and I don't know, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, it really is. But see, people like you who are aware of that, you need to spread the message to others and say, look, this is what is really happening. Because if people just stay quiet and they say, well, no, that's the people staying quiet, that's just the political correctness that has been brainwashed into people to say, you're not supposed to hurt people's feelings. Well, you know what? The truth hurts sometimes. But if the truth is going to keep you safe, you have to tell people the truth, before it's too late. Because look at other countries. You look at what's taking place in Syria and Iran and how they basically are shooting their protesters. These are protesters that don't have any weapons. They go into the streets and they just get shot because they want freedom. And we don't want to get to that point in America. But if it gets to the point where people are just accepting these things, they could just do that,
Yeah.
So what advice would you give other students, if they find that their teachers are also spreading the liberal agenda and they don't agree with them? What would you tell them?
I would tell them to stay true to who they are and don't let people persuade you because you may be intimidated by them, and stick to your convictions and stand up for what's right, because if you don't, then where are you left after that? I think people need to start speaking up and open their eyes to these issues, and I definitely hope that happens in schools.
That's great. I was going to say, well, the fact that you're going now to a conservative school in a conservative state, you won't really have to spread that word over there, because I'm sure all the people over there know it. But, living in California, as long as you're still in California, just try to spread the word any way you can, whether it's online or just talking to friends or whatever. Let them know what's taking place. This is not about regular Democrat versus Republican politics. We're seeing something that's a lot larger and a lot more dangerous than we've ever seen in America, and we all have to band together to realize, this is not. It's not going to be just a normal every other election, every other year election in 2012. We're going to be fighting for our lives. So, people need to learn, to wake up, and the young voice. That's what we need. More young voices like you, Megan. You're doing the right thing.
Oh, thanks.
You have to just tell your friends, and when you get online, just speak about these things. Tell them it's not right to just keep your mouth shut. You have to speak, because if we don't now, we'll never get that chance again. And I don't know about the teachers. You figure, is there any hope? Because all the teachers, basically, they're just from the hippie generation. Those are the people that started that mindset, the liberal mindset. And I really believe that that's when they started corrupting our school system. And I believe it was one of Khrushchev, one of these dictators from Russia, who said that we're gonna take over your country. We're going to turn it into communism without firing a shot. We're just going to take over your children. And nobody really knew what that meant, and now we're seeing it. And that's really sad, How do your parents feel? Like, are they happy that it's finally over, or, were they frustrated all the time that you were in school? Did they really want to see it end because it was so frustrating for you?
Well, my parents, my mom would always be so shocked about it, but then again, she wouldn't be shocked because the stories just kept coming. I would tell her teacher after teacher after teacher, and, my parents were definitely not happy about it, but then again, this is happening with all of my sisters and all the schools they're at, and you kind of just start understanding that, this is really happening, and you tell other people this, and I don't think that they take it too light, and I think people need to start, really seeing what's going on, behind closed doors with their children, because this is a big deal, and this is indoctrinating our kids, and I really hope that something changes about this.
Well, you're absolutely right. I think that's what the whole point is with the school system. When you see how they're defending people, where they say, well, you can't even wear an American flag because that's offending, people from Mexico or whatever. Yeah. And then you see that, here they are trashing Americans. And you say, look at what they did to you. I'm sure that they turned you into an emotional wreck for all these, through all the things you have to go through. But you realize with the court system as corrupt as they are, even if you ever took it to court, they wouldn't side, in your favor. It would just
go overturn everything.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. This is why we need people like you, good prosecutors who are going to go and do the right thing and make sure that the country is on the right side again, because we've allowed, America's enemies to take over, and it's just not right.
Yeah.
Hopefully when you get into school, that that'll be the message that you send to other people. Look, we have to start turning to the right, because look what the left has done. It's all our morals are being destroyed, and it's not right.
Mhm.
What do you think of going to SMU? Have you heard how the people there are? Are they more conservative overall? Are they going to be more the way that you expect your life to go as a Catholic?
Well, for instance, just going down there, I'm going for rowing, and the coach, for instance, the reason why I chose to go there was because the coach is Christian, and so is the assistant coach, and he explained to me that, you need to look at the bigger picture. And
right.
The bigger picture definitely is that, we need to trust in the Lord, and we need to start reading Scripture, and we need to band together, as you said, and, go back to our roots and not let other people manipulate what we think or question our beliefs. And I definitely know that going to SMU, there is people like that. I know I'll probably run into people who aren't like that, but I'm just excited to actually have conversations with people who share the same values that I do.
Well, that's great. I really think that's great, because that's what America needs. We need to get away from this liberal mindset, which has thrown us back. I mean, you look at, they call themselves progressive, but look at what they're doing with this solar battery and solar winds. I mean, is this really progress? We've got NASA now testing cars for Toyota instead of flying to the moon. This is not progress. People just need to wake up and say, look, people, the liberals have been lying to all of us. Let's wake up and see, this is not the America that we had that was free. We're being thrown back to frontier land,
Mm-hmm.
But when you consider, the fact that we've got people like you representing California, that's a great sign. I consider that as a beautiful sign that we know that, we're taking positive steps forward, and all we need to do is just spread the word. Not everybody is these crazy liberals that we hear about in California and New York and New Jersey, and there are decent people out there, and we have to just remain strong. We got to remember we're a Christian nation. We were founded on Christian Judeo, mentality, and most of our laws came from the Bible. People will never acknowledge that in this country, but that's the facts. Whether they like it or not. It's good versus evil. It's that simple, and it's all in the Bible. So people have to, wake up and say, yes, let's respect this, because this is what America is, and this is what we stand for. I think it's great.
That's so true. And you think about it, and as you said, you don't want to offend anyone. You don't want to step on anyone's toes. And I'm just sick of that, because, as you said, America was based on Judeo-Christian beliefs. And people forget that, and I definitely think that we need to go back to our roots, and we need to, understand that it's not offending anyone. This is what America was based on.
That's exactly right, and they have to respect us, because, they're not. They're basically, you keep hearing about all the Muslim agenda, and it's like, everything we do offends them. Well, they're coming to America. They have to basically compromise and say, look, we're in the United States. We have to do as the American people do,
No,
and
but then
not,
then it's like, so we're offending them, but they could build, they want to build a mosque by ground zero. It's just, it doesn't even work that way. We can offend them, but they can offend us. It's just ridiculous.
That's exactly right. Well, Meghan, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to thank you for coming on the show, because it's incredible to hear these, the views of a young person like you, and realize that, there is hope for the future. I'd like to thank you for.
There definitely is hope, and thank you for letting me talk. I was a little nervous, but I definitely want other people my age to get out there and, stand up for what they believe in and stick to their values and their convictions. So thank you for letting me talk.
Hey, it was great. Thank you, Meghan, and good luck to you in college.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, remember, everyone, America's children are our future, and liberal indoctrination in the classroom has no place in a free America. So if you feel your kids are being taught the wrong message in schools, speak out now, please, before it's too late. Until next time, this is your host, Batmobile, and you've been with us in the Batcave.